the social impact of the Nashville flood of 2010. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the social impact of the Nashville flood 2010, a geographer from Tennessee State University, Dr. DPadgett, who has been with us on a number of occasions and has a lot of information relative to the social impact of the flood of the Nashville flood of 2010. And of course, Dr. Padgett, let me welcome you to the show this morning and to remind our audience that you've been with us on a number of occasions, and you're really no visitor to this show in a real sense. We sort of consider you as one of our regular persons, our regular guests. But there might be some persons that might not know you, Dr. Padgett, and so let's take the first 6 minutes to sort of give some information about your background, your education, and some of your experiences, and then we'll have a commercial break, and then we'll get into the Nashville flood of 2010.
Okay, I'm currently a associate professor of geography at Tennessee State University. I've been at Tennessee State University for almost 14 years. I'm also the director of the Geographic Information Sciences Lab, which is basically where we use smart maps to look at any number of things, natural phenomenon, urban studies, you name it. And so I also teach urban geography, I teach weather and climate, and so this study brings both of those two things together, looking at the urban landscape and, of course, in this case, the weather, this extreme weather event of 2010. I've been a part of the American Meteorological Society Weather Studies Diversity Project and also their Climate Studies Diversity Project since 2004. And so I bring that curriculum and research base into the classroom. And I went to the University of Florida for my graduate degrees in geography and geology. And I went to undergraduates at Western Kentucky University, where I earned a bachelor's degree in geography and geology also.
And so in a real sense, you've been involved in looking at the weather, and so the weather is more than a nice day to you. It has real meaning in a real sense, as it should to all geographers. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we are unable to predict the weather correctly, we don't eat. I mean, our agricultural system is significantly affected by things such as drought, and or there could be too much rain that can also be detrimental to food production and even livestock. We're somewhat sheltered in this part of the world in most cases, in that the weather conditions mostly determine what we decide to wear. But in other parts of the world, if it rains, people are unable to feed their children because their goat herds don't produce enough milk. If you look at places such as Bangladesh, where certainly Hurricane Sandy and Hurricane Katrina were horrific events, but that type of flooding happens every year in the monsoon zone of Bangladesh and parts of India. Every year, millions of people are displaced, but we don't see it in our newspapers, on our television, so being kind of sheltered, that kind of thing, we might not even know that's happening. And
so in a real sense, we could have a Nashville flood of 2010, and that would be significant in terms of where we are, but some of these places in other parts of the world will have a Nashville flood 2010 almost every year.
Every single year it happens.
And a large number of folks die in reference to that, to these floods and et cetera. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Deaths, people displaced. We have hurricanes that strike here, but for example, in 1998, when Hurricane Mitch went through Central America, 10,000 people lost their lives. And so we certainly don't minimize the loss of life here. We have no idea how much worse it can be in other parts of the world, and how much more severe the impacts of global warming and climate change are going to be in other parts of the world versus here. And so you do believe that over the last few seconds we have, that there is such a thing as global warming, and it has an impact upon the weather and et cetera. You believe that? Oh, absolutely. I mean, the climatologists pretty much agree that global warming is occurring. The debate is over what's the cause. Is it human cause or is it natural? That's where the debate is. And it's going to be a lengthy debate, because if it's human cause, that means we're going to have to spend money to fight air pollution and stop releasing greenhouse gases. If it's natural, then we can mitigate in other ways, but industry doesn't have to cut down on air.
Very good. And of course, let us take this first commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience, excuse me, following this very, very short commercial break.